berceau de mon enfance, tu es le soleil de ma vie. Je suis fier de toi et tant que je vivrai, je me battrai.
So, hi, Dr. Mbako. It's a pleasure to have you here today. So, can you just tell us about yourself?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I am Dr. Aloysius Mbako. I'm a retired military doctor from Cameroon. I was a colonel before I retired. I retired in 2006, and I've worked with the NHS for quite a long time as well. And I retired a year and a half to enjoy some life and do some other things. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So, as you know, our project is about football. So, what were your thoughts on football as a young child?
Well, like any other Cameroonian, it's what they call the opium of society. So you can imagine that it's always been a pleasure and maybe a kind of obligation to show off your skills in football. I would say that I tried my best to play football, but on the physical side and on the technical side, I wasn't successful as a footballer past secondary school, but I keep very keen interest in football. Yeah.
That's good to know. So, tell us about football in Cameroon. The history of football in Cameroon.
Quite interesting that the history of football in Cameroon is not something that is talked about, because if you go to the encyclopedia or the in Google, you will find out that they keep talking about the clubs and other things without telling us exactly who started football in Cameroon. It's an opportunity for me to make it clear that there was somebody who started football in Cameroon. He goes by the name George Gautier or George Goethe. I call it both ways because it's a German name. He was a gentleman who was born in 1896 in Sierra Leone, and because his father was a preacher and moved around the coast of West Africa, he migrated to Douala in Cameroon, where he started working with John Holt's, a company that was brandished around most of West Africa. He worked with them for 9 years. When he wasn't happy with the entrepreneurship of the company, because he wasn't making any progress, he decided to become a photographer. And he's remained that photographer instead of the footballer. Now, in 1923, he decided to form a football club, which we can say a real football club, the first football club in Douala. And from there, he managed to help other creation of other little clubs around Douala so that there could be some interplay between the clubs. And so George Gautier, whose daughter became Vice Minister of Education, is actually the founder of football in Cameroon. He died later on in 1970 something. He's greatly known as the unique photographer who put Cameroon in the light of what they call a footballer with the a photographer of that type of reputation, because he was the only one who could take photographs, very good photographs of his of the president or of the French community and so on and so forth. And this was inherited by his son Cyril Gautier, who actually went to Paris to study photography. So you can still find where the origin of football is in Douala, where Gautiers were, but you will not find anything associated with football.
Yeah, it's interesting. No, I've never heard it before myself, so not many people talk about it. So, would you tell us about the importance of football in Cameroon?
Football in Cameroon has been it's unique in the sense that it's a sport which is appreciated and by most Cameroonians, and it's actually at the top of our social entertainment in Cameroon. That at one point it was thought that football is the opium of the people, that the people were made to concentrate more on football than on their welfare and on politics. So everybody is interested in football in Cameroon, even the women, grandchildren, grandmothers, grandfathers, everybody is interested in football in Cameroon.
So, how do you think nowadays we can use football to teach the culture, Cameroonian culture, to those young ones who were born here, let's say in the UK, for example? How do you think we can use that football kind of culture to pass on to them our Cameroonian culture?
Indeed, the project you are running is unique in Britain, and I think it's unique all over the diaspora, because what you're trying to do is take football, which is a point of interest, take it to a country which has football as its main activity, and with this, what will happen is that the children get interested in the footballers, and then they get to know what Cameroon is. Because if you link a footballer to, let's say, Kong Samba, then people will want to know what is Kong Samba, where is Kong Samba, and so on. And therefore, you can always create that link, And I think it's a very interesting project, and I think it's a project that you should continue.
Can you tell us about some of the best Cameroonian footballers and when they played, how did they impact?
Yeah, we have very many great footballers. I would say that I would just name a few because of time. We would take the footballers that really made an impact at the beginning of when Cameroon started playing football at international level. We have a player who is thought to be all-time the most famous player. Is called Mbappé Lepe. You must have heard about a young man called Mbappé who plays in France. He must be from that family. I don't know exactly what the connection is, but I presume that is from that. Now, Mbappé Lepe was that guy who was tall, gigantic. The imagery of him was a giant in football. Not only was he tall, gigantic, but he did a lot of things. He was a very good dribbler. He kept the ball, and he scored so many goals. So at that time, Mbappé Lepe was, and if you take people comparing football to now, they think that Mbappé Lepe has been the greatest player. But unfortunately, we did not have television at the time. We did not have media coverage, and therefore Mbappé Lepe. At the time of his playing, we had fantastic people like a goalkeeper called Atangana Otu, who ended up playing in prisons Boya for quite a long time. He was a goalkeeper who kept the goal for probably a good part of 15 years, and therefore to do that, you needed to be very good. We've had other great players like Tokoto Jean-Pierre, who now resides in the United States, and I hear is a lawyer, and he also played for Cameroon in the World Cup, our first World Cup. Then, of course, the famous Roger Milla. You would know that when we walk around here in Europe and everywhere, when you say you are from Cameroon, everybody just shouts Roger Milla. Roger Milla is the guy who put Cameroon on the map, I would say that. And to use a little bit of an example, an anecdote, is this guy who arrived from Paris to London, came and was looking for a job in a restaurant in central London. Couldn't get the job. They told him he wasn't very good in communicating, And when he was leaving the restaurant, they asked him, "Where are you from?" And he said, "I'm from Cameroon." And they said, "Do you know Roger Miller?" He said, "Oh, he's my uncle." And the manager was told that, and he got the job. I'm telling you, it's for fact, because he's written a book about it. Now, you have other great players, the Makanakis, the Eto. Eto is one of the most famous players in the world today. And Eto knows, because he knows how to use the media and everything. Eto is really doing very well for Cameroon football.
What according to you are the problems Cameroonian football is facing today? And how can they correct them?
The problems of football in Cameroon today are related in the management of the football itself. Because if you look at a great country like Cameroon in Africa, Cameroon is the best football club, best football team, because it's been to the World Cup 7 times, it's won the African Cup 5 times, and all that brings some remuneration. But we can't see what that remuneration is used for. We don't have any structures, any infrastructures for football. It's just now they are trying to build stadia because of African Cup, but the African Cup. But we should have had with all this money. Now that is the problem, So young people and individuals are trying to sponsor football when the country should have been sponsoring the football, because they have had a lot of money from the international community, but we don't know what's going on.
Thank you for that. So what, in your opinion, are the lost values that we can recover through football? I mean, in Europe, mainly.
Well, Cameroon was a very cohesive, coherent kind of society where we lived very peacefully. We didn't have any divisions. We knew we had tribes, but we never used tribes in a negative way. Cameroon has become very divided in spite of being united. The more we impress on the people that they are united and indivisible, the more we are divided. That is, football is the only some form of cohesion that brings people together. If we could take from football what it brings in the cohesion of people in other sectors of our lives, in political sector, in social sectors, and so on, I think we will be doing quite a lot.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We've learned a lot today.